Welcome to another episode of the Politics as Usual podcast. Today I have Chaquanzha, the founder of Dope Inc. Global. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Thanks for coming down. This is going to be a loaded episode because she does an awful lot. But I want to start just from the very beginning. Where you born, and kind of just leading up to the missions that you do today.
Yeah. So I'm a Stamford, Connecticut native, born and raised. I still live in Connecticut. I live in Stratford. I went to the University of New Hampshire. I got a dual degree in political science and justice studies. And at the University of New Hampshire is where the mission started, I would say. So I was in a verbal altercation with a Caucasian male where he decided to use the N-word. He said Black people smell. He said a lot of things. Basically, he said I shouldn't have been there unless I played a sport. So not that I had a good SAT score, not that I had good grades. So my initial instinct was to knock all his teeth out. And when I thought about it...
What year was this, though?
This was 2009.
Okay, so and I asked that just to say 2009, this type of stuff still happens.
Still happens. And here's the kicker. I'm going to the University of New Hampshire, predominantly white state, but Obama was in office. So I'm like, we got a Black president. Like, it can't get any better than this.
Right.
But people were upset.
Right.
And I didn't expect that. So being on campus, it was a culture shock, but that was my first time being tasked with discrimination. Like all my years here, I went to Catholic school here, public school all the way up until high school, never felt, like I was discriminated against at all until I got there. So when he did that, I did not knock his teeth out, but I did fight back. I didn't oppress him. I educated him. Like, Black people don't smell. I earned my seat here, like all the things, but I went above him. I reported him. And when I reported him, I was able to change the bylaws of the school.
Wow.
So exactly. That's where I found my voice. This little Black girl with the big name is just like, okay, what else can I do? So when I went to administration, I fought and let them know what happened. And they said nothing could go against his code of conduct until he physically assaults you. And I'm like, y'all want him to physically assault me before. And
Right.
That's what I knew they were alluding to. So my dad was like, it's either you get a gun or you come home. And my mom is like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to stay, but I got to figure out how I can navigate this. So basically what happened is they didn't want to do anything against his code of conduct until he physically assaulted me. But I fired back and said what he said was on college campus, on grounds where students frequent. I feel like we should do something that would get him in trouble where he's not on campus at all, or some disciplinary action happens. So now anything discriminatory said on campus goes against one's code of conduct, no matter where it's said on campus. So that allowed me to become a mentor for students of color. I'm sorry, I'm a little stuffy. I'm getting over a cold. Okay. But that allowed me to become a mentor for students of color on the campus, but also retain the African-American rate of graduates at the university. So
that's amazing.
That's where the mission, the mentorship, everything started. That's where Dope.
So that's where the little spark came in right there.
That's where, because I found my voice.
Yeah.
I was like, if I could change the bylaws of a school that was founded in 1866, what else can I do?
I love it.
So that's where it happened.
I love it. Okay. So you start there with this spark of change, and you realize that you do have the power to do things that you may not have thought you had the power to do. And so what happens next? So you go through college, you finish school, or
yeah.
What happens after that?
So that was 2009. I fought all the way through 2010. 2011, I had an issue with a professor where he was purposely failing me. I was a political science major. And I got a 44 on my exam. Mind you, my first semester, freshman year, I had a 3.4 GPA. I was on the dean's list. So I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm pretty smart. So a 44, like that's below a 50. So I was like, what's going on?
Out of 100?
Out of 100.
Okay.
Exactly. So I failed. I really failed.
You did.
So I went to his office hours to say, how could I prepare for this next exam? But before I got there was another kid, white kid, and he asked the same question. So I let the kid go before me, and he's jotting down, study this, it might be true, false. Study this, it might be short answer. Study this, whatever. So I get in, I ask the same exact question. He goes, how have you been preparing? And I go, well, here are my notes. Here's this, here's that. He goes, well, go to this website. This might help you. He didn't tell me to study this, that, nothing. So I went over to the dean immediately and I said, I would like to petition to withdraw from this class. I bring the petition back to the professor and he says to me, it was a wise decision you deciding to drop my course. Looking me dead in my eye, meaning that he was going to purposely fail me. Right. Does that make sense? So long story short, I did not leave the university, but I had the option to go to Ghana. I was a McNair scholar. So that also changed the trajectory of where I am now, because if I would have left the school, I don't think that I would have been to Ghana. We'll get into that, but
Right.
now I take students to Ghana, so it's like a wholesome.
So before we even get to Ghana, what stops Chaquanzha from quitting? So, all right, so you get the first obstacle, right? The guy's trying you, you're like, I got him, you got him. And then again, you come in and you're faced with that adversity again, and know that the system is actually working against you, like, actually working against you. What is it inside of you that says, I'm not going to be ran away? I'm going to stand here and stand my ground and do what I need to do.
I think it was my mom.
Okay.
God rest her soul. She was always so strong-willed. She had a teen center right here in Connecticut. She's always taught me to fight or be the change I wish to see. And I wanted to see more students of color graduate from the university. Like, we deserved our spot there. So why should I let a student or a faculty member run us out? So my idea was, if I could stand here and fight my ground and protect myself, I can protect other people. I can give them or be a voice for the voiceless. And that's what happened. So when I became the mentor, I was fighting against students, I was fighting against faculty, but I graduated, and so did several others. So I think my means of fighting came from my mom. She talked me through a lot of things. She wasn't able to go to college because she was a teen mom. So she got her associates, but she didn't go to a 4-year institution. So in doing so, I felt like quitting wasn't an option, because I was doing something she was vicariously living through me.
That's right. So before we go on, and again, I know it's, you recently lost, her, and so if it gets any weirdness, we can stop.
I'm good now. We're coming up on a year.
Yeah, I lost my mom too, and I just wanted to share with you these type of Black women, your mom, my mom, because you spoke about your mother having the teen center, and we spoke, on the phone about that teen center. And on another episode that I had, I mentioned that teen center, not knowing that it was your mother. Yeah, I just can't remember which one. Again, these days are running together. Everything's running together. But I mentioned that teen center, and when I mentioned it, it was in regards to the resources that we had available coming up as a kid. So now you're looking at the product. My boy Terrence, if he's gonna see this, he used to go to den all the time.
Really?
Like, he was really cool with your mom. Tizo. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Of course. So I spoke to him the other day. I'm like, I'm gonna interview Chaquanzha. I'm like, it's so funny how we always talked about the den, but not to
He's
get
like
too
a big
off
brother to me. So.
Right. So not to get too off of a topic, but we talked about just the things that we had available around town, like from free camp to the den. And these things, these places, these spaces impacted lives and children's lives. And you're looking at adults that have been in that place where your mom was at, the environment she created, and impact of a grown person here telling you, yo, I was in that place. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's the work that we call her to do. And your mother did that. My mother did that. She planted the seed of that in you, and you're doing that. And same with me. And that's the blessing,
It is. It's full circle.
Yeah, we want to keep them forever. We love them, and but that's just not the design here.
Yeah.
But what is the design here is that you come here and you do your best work for God, and I believe they did that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I always say gone too soon. My mom was 53 when she passed, but apparently she did what she needed to do, and he called her home. So to be absent from us is to be present with him, and I've accepted it. At first it was hard, like, God, how could you, like, I wanted to square up with that. I was very angry. I couldn't make it make sense. I was 3 months postpartum, but I know that she's instilled certain things in me that I could carry through in honor of her. So,
and that was her job.
It was.
But
it was.
And so, just to speak on you say you want to square up. I think we all get there. I want to square up, right? And so in the Bible, they want to square up. When Jesus was on the cross, he said, why have you forsaken me? Like, he wanted to square up. Why are you doing this to me? And so I think that's a natural human with humans, and but God knows that we don't understand, and we just don't get it, and one day we will.
I learned to stop questioning.
Yeah,
I don't question God. I know that he works in mysterious ways, but like you said, we're doing this work in their honor and their legacy. So.
They smiling.
Yeah, they are.
They smiling. So okay, so not to go too crazy there. So the mission transforms from there, and then you start to Ghana. You go away to Ghana to study.
I went to study, yes. Okay. So I did legal comparative analysis. So this is the time when
Sounds fancy. Please tell me what legal comparative analysis is.
I wanted to be an attorney. So I was studying the war on drugs, mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines, and the McNair program. So I was a dual major, but I also did the McNair program, which was like taking on a third major, if you will. So the McNair program honors Ronald E. McNair. So he was like the first Black person to go to space. And he was also... it started off the story as a kid. He was in the library trying to read books, and they called the cops on him. So very interesting story where he advanced, got his PhD, like a great program. So in doing the McNair program, I was able to write my proposal to get a chance to go to Ghana, and I did. Where I met my now husband. We've got a kid. It's like a full circle moment. But
I studied Instagram before you got here, so let me go on Instagram and just study.
See
Yeah.
things.
So
Yeah. So I met him there in 2011, and I said one day I'm going to take students back. So when I went back in 2016, I went to the Ivory Coast. I was in Abidjan, and I was assessing some land to build a school with another person. And from there, I took a short flight back over to Ghana, where I met him again, but also did some community service and worked with other kids and students through a nonprofit where a person that we went to school with, he founded. And we still work with him today. So now fast forward to 2023, Mr. Rodney Bass, he was former principal of Stanford Public
so
Schools.
let me just stop you. So I never had Mr. Bass, but I heard about Mr. Bass.
Okay.
And so Mr. Bass is like everywhere. He's involved in like everything. Him. So I don't know him, but I know him.
Okay. So he was my principal at Clunan Middle School. He was also principal at TOR.
That's
Stanford
what
High.
Terrence Tizo came on talking about Mr. Bass.
He did.
He's like, yo, we got this principal, bro. He's tough. Mr. Bass. Like everybody was talking about Mr. Bass.
But, a legend. And
Clearly.
He started the program Rites of Passage back in 2004. He took his first group of students in 2005, and he carried the program until 2014. So we stopped for some time, and then we picked up in 2023 and took our first group of students in 2024. And this year will be our third group of students. So me having that experience early on, I've now been traveling over 10 years to the continent, many different locations. It has kind of propelled me in a way to take on the torch that he once lit and carried to bring upon this program. And now we're nationwide. So we take students, well, we've got students in Tennessee and Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, and we've got over 20 students that we're looking to take this year.
So. Wow, that's amazing. You said a lot, Chaquanzha. Yeah. To do things at that magnitude and scale, you're like looking for properties to build a school. I mean, that's like.
So to be fair, it wasn't my
that's like
property. I was helping someone else. The school is built now.
Also, congratulations on
Thank you. And the guy that was translating, because it's a French-speaking country, he's here in the States. But it was an interesting experience, and it made me want to bring more people back to the continent. So not just Ghana per se, but anywhere on the continent. Because I feel like a lot of times, and I was telling you this, when I was growing up, it was feed the children.
Yeah, right.
10 cents a day, beans and rice. You could do this. So all I thought that Africa was as a whole was mud huts, poverty. I never thought that I would find the wealth, the resources, the oil, the gold, none of it until I got there and I got off the plane and I saw Barack Obama and the current sitting president, well, the former sitting president in Ghana. And I'm like, that was starstruck to me because I never saw Black people on billboards.
Right.
And then we get a little bit further, but every billboard has Black people. And I'm like, wow. So now I'm in a place where I'm no longer the minority, I'm the majority. And I've never experienced that before. And then I felt like I was home. And then I saw all the things. So I'm like, I got to bring people back here one day. And now I'm living in that moment.
So what does the program entail? So the children, it's for children.
Yep. So grades 8 through 12. And we teach 13 weeks of Black history, followed by the 10-day trip to Ghana.
Okay.
And we go to 3 different places in Ghana. We go to Accra, Cape Coast, and Kumasi. So they get a full, rich experience. But the program itself is free. The trip to Ghana is not. So we always raise money for that. And I like to really big up the program because it teaches Black history that really most don't know. Even looking at some of the Black history that you do through your clothing, our kids don't know that this systematic oppression has happened for many, many years. So a lot of them think that we've come from slavery. They don't know about the kings and queens. They don't know about Mansa Musa and the Mali Empire. They don't know about anything. And so when we teach them and uncover some of that history and debunk the myths that have once been told, it opens their eyes before they set foot on the continent, which is really cool.
Right. Yeah, that's really, really cool. And I always, one thing my mother really did well with us was exposure. Like she took us everywhere.
That's good.
And I do believe that it is important to see everything, so you can see what exists. I'm a firm believer in you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask because like you don't even know where to start.
Right.
So just showing kids and exposing them to things will, stoke curiosity and stoke critical thinking and things in their minds to lead to other thoughts and bigger thoughts. But what is the actual? All right, so once they get to Ghana, they do that. They see Ghana, and do they themselves want to get involved in the program, like to go bring kids back, or do they take that trip and kind of just say, oh, that was a great trip, and how does that translate after the trip is over? How does that impact after it's over?
That's such a good question because I always ask them, excuse me, before they get there, what do they expect to see?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they don't know. They're just ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they go and they see things, and I will always tell this story. We had one girl and she went, and when she came back, she told the story to her parents so well that last year her mom and younger sister came with us because
Awesome.
they just had to see what she saw. So it was such a moment where it's like, I need to see through my own lens because what she explained, I didn't know existed, essentially. So we give our students, I'm a little bougie, we give our students a very stellar experience, but we also show them the trenches,
You
right?
use the word like stellar. You're definitely a little bougie. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
So I say that because, again, when you look at what history has showed us and then that perception versus reality, you don't see the glitz and the glam when you think of Africa. It's no Disney World, essentially. It's like, why would I want to go to Africa? Until you go and you experience it and you have great people like myself, my husband, that can take you around, and we've got boots on the ground. So we know, where to take people and how to have a good experience. But there's just things that exist naturally, like places that look better than where we live right now. Of course, poverty exists, but that's not all that's there. So when you think about it, they strategically showed us poverty to keep us out, so that they can continue to colonize and capitalize off of what.
And another belief system that I know I had, and a lot of, I guess they're calling them foundationally Black Americans. Is that what we're calling them these days? Us? Are we foundationally Black Americans? I don't know. But I guess. Another belief that I carried and a lot of my parents carry was that Africans don't really rock with us. Like, so they come over here and not just Africans, Haitians, Jamaicans, any Black, anything from anywhere else, they come here and they kind of look down on us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing that kind of builds resentment, and we like, yo, I'm not going, like, F them. You know what I mean? It's kind of that energy. So my question really is, that is our feeling here. And I could be wrong. I'm not saying that it's a fact. I'm just saying that's the feeling that we all carry. A lot of us carried. When you went there, was that your experience?
No. And I have this back and forth with my best friend all the time because she's like, Africans don't really like Black Americans. And I'm like, who told you that? I've never experienced it. When I went there, I was so welcome. I'm also Jamaican. They love Jamaicans there. And when you study the transatlantic slave trade to see where people...
I'm half Jamaican.
Okay.
Yeah, my father watched a podcast, so I gotta make sure I say that every time. He's Jamaican.
So my dad's Jamaican too. Born there, I'm a form of immigrants, if you will. But at the end of the day, I've never experienced it, but I know people who have. So when you think about it on the flip side, and this is why I enjoy, and I love that your mom took you all to travel and explore, because we took my son at 6 months and his first trip was to Ghana. And I think it was eye-opening for him at such a young age because he was seeing things that he doesn't normally see. But at the end of the day, before I lose my train of thought, I think that people have this misconception because they haven't been there. And then when they come here, America is shown in a different light. When this literally like coming to America, but not really, right? It's the land of the free, the land of opportunity. You have your nose in the air. You're better than. So you have to think about it. What we were shown of them versus what they were shown of us.
Exactly.
So I talk to my husband about this all the time because I feel like when I first went to Ghana, there's this white savior complex. And a lot of Caucasians will go there, set up these foundations and raise money. And sometimes the money got to the continent and sometimes it didn't. And I hate the white savior complex because sometimes they do it purposely for a financial gain. And so I tried to explain that. He didn't really get it. And he didn't get it because he didn't realize that after slavery for us was segregation, was Jim Crow era, was all these things. After slavery for them was more of classism. It was more of the shade of that's where the bleaching and stuff comes
like a caste system.
Yeah, it was just different. They didn't deal with the Blacks and the whites. So he didn't really understand the barriers that we've gone through to become what we are today. So I think the stigma of what Black Americans have done, they don't understand that it gave them an opportunity to be here.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know, it's like, well, Africans were brought here, and it's like, yes, but Black Americans built
Like we
America.
stayed here, we fought, and then we built this thing,
Yes,
and then
it's so loaded and
right,
hard to
right,
break down. But
right.
I've seen both, and
Yeah.
I can understand people like, I don't want to deal with them, but we're
Yeah.
still all Black. If I were
For
to
sure.
walk down the street and see you, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
you're African or Jamaican. That's a Black man wearing a red hat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So,
red hat.
red hat. Right. Yeah. And again, I think that I think the first mistake is that we separated each other like black, white, blue. I don't think that's the real separation here. The separation, I think, is culture. Because we all are Black, and most of the world is Black, people of color. I think what really separates us is culture.
Yeah.
You know, like so in a microcosm, my father's Jamaican, my mother's Black American. They break up, they divorce. I'm raised by my mother, so I'm raised with like fried chicken, mac and cheese, yams, Black soul food. I go to my father's house, it's ackee and saltfish, cow foot, dumplings, Jamaican food. But I spent more time with my mother, so I kind of struggled accepting parts of that identity because I didn't connect with it the same way.
I get it.
You know, and again, I'm not sure if I'm being clear enough, but it for me, it was hard to connect with that part of me because I spent more time with my Black mother. So, and the cultures were totally different. The things that he viewed as normal, my mom views as this ain't normal, you know, and vice versa. Yeah. Is that something that presents itself in your marriage at all? Like just being that because you have a different understanding of this experience and he has an understanding of his experience, does that ever present any problems in understanding?
I would say no. I mean, we're new parents. Our son is only one. But I think before children came or we talked about it, we were in alignment with how we parent and culturally what the background was. So like I'm coming from a 2-parent household married. He's coming from a 2-parent household married. But I understand how that dynamic works versus how my dynamic works. And there is a cultural difference, right? He's Nigerian. And technically I'm American. I'm born here, raised here. Like things that we do here are far different from what they do there. So we just came to a common ground on things that we would do versus what we wouldn't do. The biggest thing is if one says no, the answer is no.
Right,
like it's not, I go to mommy and mommy says yes.
Right.
So just kind of being on the same page with certain things. Right. But I guess I'm a gentle parent, but I will give you pow pow. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just certain things that, you know, we talked about in advance where there's really no friction.
Yeah. And I know it was personal, it had nothing to do with this. I just wanted to know for my own curiosity because it's something that I, as a child, it was kind of hard to navigate.
And I could say the same because my mom was Black American, my dad's Jamaican. But again, they were married, so I've only been under one roof to see, so I can understand the dynamic and the change. And then when people come here, it's like, oh, you think you're better than me because and sometimes they are taught that. I've heard that where it's like, you know, a Nigerian mom will tell their son, don't hang out with Black American boys because they get into illegal activity, they end up in jail.
Some of it's true.
And yes, it is.
You know,
there's things that happen even in Nigeria or wherever, you know. So at the end of the day, it's be around the person for the characteristics of who they are,
of course,
versus the stigma that was placed on them.
Of course. And so I think it's working both ways, listening to what you're saying. Like, so we're seeing them 50 cents a day. They're seeing us breaking every law, going to jail, killing, raping, murdering, whatever we're doing. Like
not realizing that it was systematically put in our backyards. Right. And so again, they've done a great deal of that perception versus reality. And that's why I always say, like, I need to bring more people back. Because when you see it for yourself, you realize how interconnected we are. When you visit those slave castles and you see how far we've come, but how far we still have to go, there's like no way that you can come here and be the same. Like, it just makes you go after things even more. I always tell this story. I went to the slave castle. I can't even remember how many times at this point. But my first time there was very emotional. And then every time after that, I was fine. And I smiled, and it's like under the female dungeon. And I don't know, I was like posing or something. And this Black lady, she was pissed. She was like, how could you, our ancestors, like in the middle of the slave castle. Right. And I just looked at her and I go, I don't know if it's your first time here, but I've been here several times. And I'm not sad anymore. I'm proud of how far we've come and how far we have yet to go. But to know the power is vested in me from our ancestors, to know that they could get through this, go across the world in months on a ship and survive, and then work a plantation. you got to be proud. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we're built is completely different. So she wasn't understanding my sense of pride in that moment and thought that she could use it as a teacher moment to scold me.
Yeah.
And no. So,
But that's that, and I don't want to jump in there. I just want to jump in to highlight that though, because that's actually like a superpower to be able to, again, we don't have time machines here. We don't get that here, right? So I can't change anything about that. It was all
right,
terrible. I acknowledge that it was all terrible, but I take great pride in the fact that they survived that.
right,
I say, wow, look at what we overcome. It's like, and I use that in my personal life as well. I look at the things I've overcome. I say, wow, I should have been dead 10 years ago, but I'm not. So I feel like extra excited, like, wow, rather than harp on the actual events that have happened in the history of my life.
mm-hmm.
I more look at it as I can't believe I made it
Yeah, yeah,
out of those things. And I'm grateful to have made it through those things rather than feel the pity of going through those things.
right.
You know?
And that's sometimes you just have to reflect.
Yeah.
Somebody said it the other day. I was watching something, and it's like you can't connect the dots moving forward. You got to look back to connect the
That's
dots
right.
to see where it all happened and why it intertwined. And sometimes I don't like to look back, but reflection is a big deal. It also helps with accountability. You think about things that you could have done better. And I don't like to say that I take any losses. I win or I learn. I don't lose.
You're always going to win. You got the right mentality. You're always
Right?
going to win.
That's it,
That's
right? So learning, from anything is going to put you in a different position each and every time because I'm always a student. I always want to know something different. I always want to expand my mindset and keep an open mind. So in that moment with that lady, I'm like, she don't even know me. She don't know why.
right.
She could have asked before,
Right.
she jumped in, but I could understand the emotion in that moment because when you go, the original flooring is there. So you can smell the stench of your ancestors.
Wow.
And people don't realize, like, you can explain it in a million ways, but until you step foot for yourself, I can never.
You take adults?
I do.
Oh, word.
We just started this year, but we take adults as chaperones because the parents typically want to come. But this year, so many adults have wanted to come.
Yeah.
So we've opened it up where they can come and they don't have to be a chaperone.
Okay, that's great. Okay, well, I won't spend a bunch of time there because again, I know we could probably go like
all day
with that. But let's talk about the other work you do as well now that I saw with the prison work.
Yes, the Breaking Chains program.
Yeah,
so that, interestingly enough, stemmed from another lived experience, my brother, and he's been in the juvenile justice system from diapers. He just was a wild child. But in middle school, I decided I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney, and I decided that because of his background. And I said, if I could be a criminal defense attorney, I could keep him out of jail. But the focus should have been I shouldn't need to do that.
You're a fixer. You're a fixer.
I'm a problem solver.
You're a fixer.
I like to think of myself that way. But when I thought about it, all through high school, all through college, that's what I wanted to do until I graduated. And I said, I'm not going to law school. And it was more of an educated decision. My mentor at the time, love him down, and white guy. And he was like, you should take some time off, Chaquanzha. Wait, the legal system or becoming an attorney right now is really saturated. Mm. And unless you're working at a top firm, you're not really going to be making, the money you want to make. Mm. And I had, at that point, just come back from DC working at the Office of the Public Defender. So I saw the burnout. And obviously it was the public sector. So, of course, they're getting caseloads that they're only reviewing 5 minutes before,
right.
But regardless of, I thought that I could be a criminal defense attorney to protect my brother and people that mirrored him. And then I realized I could do more work if I strategically fought to make sure they didn't go that route where they wouldn't even need a lawyer to begin with. So with Breaking Chains, this happened when he was incarcerated. I was thinking of ways that he can come back out and reintegrate. So we created this program where incarcerated individuals could fill out our inmate questionnaire. Mm-hmm. They can tell their story without incriminating themselves. Mm-hmm. And if they felt that they were going to do that, don't fill it out. And then we could pair them with students here locally or somewhere else that have a similar experience. So if kids are dealing drugs, if kids have a dad that has a similar background where they're just angry and lashing out kind of deal, whether their parents or guardians want to talk to the person behind the walls, like how I asked you, like, what could somebody have told your younger self? Like, what can we tell them? So
let's expound on that because that was off camera.
Yeah, it was.
But we could expound on that. I've been to jail. That didn't change me. I've been shot. That didn't change me. I lost my mother. That didn't change me. But when I lost my brother, and that's what I was telling you, it was the sense of urgency that was placed on my life. It was It was the realization that I didn't have forever. It was like the epiphanies that kept hitting me like, yo, you can't play. Like it was just a fire got lit under me. But it literally did not happen until I decided for it to happen. Um, but I think it started with, again, the bad thing, it starts with conditioning and my community and different things that I was taught and learned behaviors and things that I subscribed to that were just false beliefs.
Yeah.
You know, like I told you, people would tell us that, you know, a black person couldn't make it unless we broke the law. Like that's what everybody was telling me. Yeah, black man gotta break the law. Like, you know, that's just the thing, kind of, you know. And I'm like, well, all right, I'll break it the best. Like I'll show you how to break it. We break it all the way. It didn't have again, losing my brother gave me a sense of urgency, and it let me know that I didn't have forever. That tomorrow was not even promised because I didn't think that could happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a
You
person.
thought he was invincible.
I thought to me,
yeah,
I seen too much.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing could happen to him. And when it happened to him, I said, okay, yeah, I don't stand a chance. Like this guy was way more committed to that than me. And if that could happen to him, it could happen to anybody. But what it did was, again, it just made me value my actual gifts more and what I already knew I had. I think a lot of us, especially black men, and I can only speak for myself, I'll speak for myself, but I'll speak for my community too. A lot of us come in fresh with lots of intelligence, lots of gifts, lots of ability. And over time, I come outside and I see the environment didn't really foster that. And I felt like if I maintained that level of intelligence, I was going to get bullied or picked on, or people would take bites from me or take stuff from me, and I couldn't allow that. There's no way I could allow that. So the choice became be smart or be bullied. In my mind, again, this could be totally wrong, but that's just it's congested.
I got a question.
There's a lot of people in there. It's congested, and so it's like kill or be killed. That's what it feels like.
And why do you like? I mean, depending on where you were raised, was it your environment that made you feel that way, or because I always try to figure out, and this is no shade to anybody that lives in public housing, but why do you fight over territory that you don't own? It would never make sense to me. And this could be because I was raised in a house. So it's very different, you know, for me.
But. Yeah. So that's a thing we hear a lot, right? It's like we fighting over blocks we don't own, right? And so I don't think that I didn't think that far ahead as who owns this. In my mind, this is where I'm making my money. It wasn't about who owned this building or that building. To me, it was this is where we make our money. And 10 other guys with me, this is our little block. This is what we're familiar. This is what we're comfortable. This is like our home turf. We come out here every day. We're helping the people in the community. Like this is our little piece of the pie. You know what I mean? So to speak, was right up the hill, Carmel Park. I'm from Spruce Street. I'm from the west side. Okay. So that park, I mean, you know, I don't know if you're about Stanford, but that's an active park. Everybody from Stanford lands there. I don't care. You from the east side, the south end, the V, somehow or some way you end up in Carmel Park. So I'm like in a melting pot of Stanford. You know, I've got people from all walks of life. And I think that, you know, you come in with the scarcity mindset and you think that it's not enough for everybody. And so you come in competing for things. You compete for the resources, the job, the women, whatever it is. You're like almost in competition as opposed to cooperation. And again, this is just bad thinking.
I mean, it's what we've been trained and conditioned, right? We're not having certain conversations about financial literacy,
right?
How to get out of this environment and to own our own. So,
because even when the people would come up to me, and this is why one of the things that I do in my mission is, okay, I'm going to preach to you. People will come to me and say, stop selling drugs. Even if I say to you today, okay, I'll stop selling drugs. Now what? You don't have an opportunity for me. You don't have a job for me. You don't have a pathway for me. So realistically, in my mind, it's like, shut up, bro. If you can't help,
I get what you're saying.
You're not even showing me another way. And so for me, what I do with people is I go to them, I tell them, I don't think you should do this. You should do this. You're good at this already. Or
always offer the alternative.
To offer the alternative, because it's like, even if I decided that, hey, that's great advice. You know what? Today I'm done. Now what? Yeah. You go back to wherever you came from before you came with this message. I go upstairs tonight with no money, and then tomorrow I'm back to no money. What do I do?
And it's so interesting that you say that, because even with the program, so we end up paying our students to help us. And it's like a win-win, because we get to educate them on things that we want them to know. So breaking down that 1994 crime bill and what that did to
And I'm a
marginalized
victim of the 1994 crime, but I
so many people.
I was subjected to a mandatory minimum. Had a 5 year mandatory minimum, and maybe I'll show you on a follow up or something. I'll show you my paperwork. But in my sentence in minutes, the judge expresses that he don't think I should get this much time, but his hands are tied. He's like, I can't give you less than 5 years because I'll be breaking the law.
Right, right.
Because it's statutory. And he's like, this sucks. And the judge said that out of his mouth, like, this sucks that I don't have the power to sentence you the way I feel like you should be sentenced. This is like my literally first real offense that I got caught with. I got 5 years for that.
And that's why it's important that we have our students break that down and then create their own mock reform bills, because they now, like, if they have parents, aunties, uncle that have been a victim to this, it's like, well, my dad missed all my birthdays, not realizing that your dad did something to put food on the table because that was the only way to leverage making money at the time. But also the government may have told your mom to push him out so that she can get a little government assistance so that they could break up our household.
Yeah, there's a lot of strife in the household.
A lot of systematic oppression. Yeah. And they don't understand it. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the school to prison pipeline. But the more you know. So I always tell them, knowledge is something no one can take away from you. Mm-hmm. So we turned it into a focus group because now if we pay you to do this stuff, it's forcing you to learn. You're coming up with a solution, which is the mock reform bill. And then now we can partner with local elected officials, and maybe your bill can become law one day. That's so now awesome. We're teaching them, how things work and how to use your voice. So again, me changing the bylaws of a university founded in 1866.
Fire. Yeah.
Right? So
they gotta put your picture up in a university somewhere, like maybe 20 years from now.
Someone probably hate me, but I always tell the story, okay. Right? So finding a way, because now I can connect the dots going back. So it took for me to do that to now bring students to do this. Mm-hmm. And as I'm doing it, that solution where you're telling me not to be on the streets, but I need this pair of sneakers. Well, come do this focus group. I'm gonna pay you at the end. All you gotta do is show up, right?
So that's important.
It's important.
But yeah, that's important. But those are the things that hurt me, and I was just on the phone with my father before earlier today, and he was probably most shocked that I ended up in the street. Really? Because he's like, Mike, you was always like just a smart kid. You seemed like you were just all the way focused on what you wanted to do. And then somewhere along the line,
something happened.
Just flipped. And my mother used to always say, my mother would drive down Spruce Street, right? She would go to work. We outside. She would come home. We outside. She'd be like, get up out of here. She's like, yo, you've been here all day. I don't like it. Go somewhere. I'm like, go where? I don't care, anywhere. Just get off the street. And she will always live by the one saying, idle mind is the devil's playground. And lo and behold, that lady was right. The longer I sat out there, the more I watched everybody make money in my face, the more I said, I'm smarter than them. If they could do it, I could do it better. You're just watching, you're studying. And I'm like, all right. And then boom, I'm born, But sitting idly, not having direction, not having vision hurts us too.
The same truth when you're sitting idle in prison. So that's why when we created the Break in Chains program and our, I don't like to call them inmates, but when our guys behind the walls filled out the intake questionnaire, it was really to understand how can we have you reintegrate if you're not serving a life sentence, right? Because now this is something you can put on your resume. You can say you were a dope mentor. So now when you come back, you are teaching kids, you're helping us create deterrence mechanisms so that they don't fall a victim to the same thing that you were subjected to. And so just last week, I went to a facility where they house juveniles that come out of detention. Mm-hmm. And we got to hear from two of the boys that are there. And I couldn't help but think about my son, because at one point they were someone's precious baby that was so innocent, and something changed the course of their life. And now they're there.
My cheeks too. I was a precious little baby, and next I was outside.
Clean your butt. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you became a YN. And it's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And you could be the best parent, right?
For sure. Definitely not blaming my parents. My dad. I just tell him today how phenomenal he did. So it's not the parents' fault. It's just something in you.
It is something in you. And that's why it's important who you have your kids around. And sometimes, I'm raising one of my brother's kids right now, and it might be tough love for her, but I'm like, you need to be around people that actually want to elevate and get to where you're going, because if you're staying around people that aren't, then you're probably going to end up like that.
More than likely.
You know? So I just, I take pride in the work we do, and I have a lot of respect for people that have fallen a victim to the system because it's not hard to overcome it. I believe in second chances. So even when I started our trucking and logistics company, the lead driver did 16 years in federal prison, has all of my equipment in Alabama. And I worked in HR for a well-renowned wrestling company here in Stanford. And I was the only woman of color for a long time. And I fought for change and I fought for differences. But working in HR, having a career in HR over time, there were many people that have backgrounds that you cannot hire. Right. So becoming a small business owner and being able to hire whoever you wanted was a total game changer. So even when I'm with my youth, I can show them how to get good grades, get a good job, and work corporate. But I could also show them how to be an entrepreneur. And I could show them how to pivot too. Like everything is not for everybody, right? And so some of our students, they're never going to go to college, but that doesn't mean they can't go and be an electrician. Right. Get a job in HVAC. So just really showing other ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So the Breaking Chains program, currently you work with juveniles only, or is it?
So no. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because we work with adults, mm-hmm. And adults that are still behind the walls or that have come home. And then we do work with adolescents 13 to 19, but we haven't worked in a juvenile detention facility. No.
Okay. So I asked because so it's so ironic. This conversation is just so ironic to me. Eventually, some of the work I want to do is going into the prisons and speaking to the men before they get home, pre-release. Prison in itself, we hear the word prison, it sounds terrible, right? But sometimes, like I told you, prison is the only break people get sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like from beef they was in, responsibilities that they weren't keeping up with. You know, obviously it's a forced one, and who wants to carry someone's weight? But for them, it's like a weight off their shoulders sometimes to be in there. You get some of the best sleep you ever had in your life in there. I was going to sleep at 10 o'clock, drinking the most water. You're the most clear-headed that you're probably going to be before you decide to become clear-headed. You know what I mean?
And that's weird that you say that, because sometimes when you look at like the prison shows, it's like you can't sleep because you're looking over your shoulder. So some of the best sleep, but...
So contrary to popular belief, prison is what you make it, just like anything is. So if you go in there and, you know, you mind your business, you're doing what you came to do, whatever you decided to do, you'll be fine. The people who get into issues in prison are the people who are involving themselves in things like criminal activity, either gambling or something that's just, you know what I mean, that can get you in trouble. But for the most part, my experience in prison was very respectful. I think that people knew the consequences were much more severe, so people move with a different level of respect.
And then, what did you call it? So said you wasn't in prison. He was.
Oh, so I said I was. So I told everyone I was not in prison. I was in a all boys college 4 years. Yeah, because I had to change. I had to trick my mind. I had to change my perspective of what this is. Is this jail or is this an opportunity? You know, my father, I credit him to it all the time. He told me, use this time wisely. Use this time to your advantage. Use this time to make a plan. So I'm like, is this dead time where I can just sit and do that there? Or is this time I should utilize where I don't have to worry about the beef I'm making or the drugs I'm selling or the police I'm evading all day? Since I have this break, this gap, how can I use this break, this window for my advantage? And I think that what you do, what I've heard that you do, is you take pain and you turn it into purpose. You take all things that were sent for bad and you turn them into good. And that's what we got to do here. If we want to win everything that's sent to destroy us, we got to transmute that and use that for the greater good.
Right.
The things ain't going to stop. The things always come.
Every day.
They're coming. So however you allow it to impact you is going to be how it impacts you. But for me, that perspective shift really changed what I was able to do in there. Like I went in there and got in the best shape of my life. I got really good in chess. I got certified as a personal trainer in jail through a correspondence program. You know, and I would have done more if the jail had more programming available, but they also don't make it easy to program. Even in the NFPT program. Yeah.
We're trying to bring programs up, but it's hard.
Yeah. So even the program I took that they were actually already a partnership with was hard to do. You know, I had to like fight administrators and I had to fight for it. And I was paying for it and everything. You would think that would be encouraged because it was an outside company that this corresponds with jail. You know, you could take certain college, collegiate courses through correspondence. So you would think that, okay, they have this established, should be easy, but it wasn't easy. I had to write and press, and hey, I need to take my test and press. And I finally got it done. But it all started with, again, the way I viewed what I was experiencing. I think that everything in this world depends on how you view it and how you frame it. We will determine how you're able to use it.
And that your past doesn't determine your future. I think a lot of times when you're in the walls and you get stuck in a time freeze. And when you come back out, it's like, well, whoa, what happened? Maybe buildings that were once there is gone. Technology is different. If knowledge is different, it's a whole new world to navigate. So when we, have the innate questionnaire and we do that with our guys, we also prepare them for what's happening. And we're working on something now, and it's different now because of COVID. So you could do video conferencing. We might be able to do a podcast from, a lot of cool things. But we're able to expose them to certain things before they come home.
That would be amazing. And anywhere that you could squeeze me into that, I'm for it. I'm actually going to start a job where I'm going to get some substance abuse certificates and different life coaching, different certificates just to facilitate that process more, because I do want to involve myself in the prison. And I told you, I didn't tell you actually, I was thinking about doing a chaplain, becoming a chaplain.
Tell me now.
Yeah, because I was in jail, and I know the chaplain is a place that everybody comes to, even if they just come to meet up. The church service in jail is the meetup. Somebody, you could be there for the word, or you could be there for your boy.
I know a lot of people convert, like Muslim or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people convert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of reasons people do it. Some are genuine. Some are doing it because it's protection and help and safety. And there's a lot of reasons why people end up there. But everybody meets up there.
Okay.
Either they come in a Juma to meet up to talk about something that happened, or they meet at the chaplain church, but I think that's a very important and crucial time to intervene in someone's life. I think that 6 months to a year prior to release is important.
It is. And I think, even with the halfway houses, just making sure. So let me backtrack to our program. Let me
try to let you go, but now you have open the can of worms.
I know. When we break down the 1994 crime bill, we make our mock reform bill. So in the 1994 crime bill, it was either 12 million or 12 billion that they put out to make new prisons or whatever. So we said, what if we repurpose that money for actual reform and rehabilitation? Something to mirror that of Norway. So when you look at Norway's recidivism rates, it's almost non-existent. Why? Because the way that their prisons are structured, it's to reintegrate you, right? When you put somebody in a cage as an animal, they're going to come out maybe like the animal. But when you show them a standard way of living, they'll probably be more prepared to come out and, be a law-abiding citizen. So we're looking at ways that we can take that and turn the halfway houses around so that true rehabilitation is really formed, so that recidivism, I'm not saying we can eradicate it, because it's there for a reason. Some people deserve to be there. And we show that to our kids. We show people that were wrongfully convicted. But there was a guy that did 30 years. Did he deserve 30 years? No. That mandatory minimum sentencing, all those things kind of warranted that. But at the end of the day, he did the time because of the crime that he did. And we know being black and brown, you're subjected to more time. But at the end of the day, is 5 years of fame worth 30 years of your life? And that's really what we try to portray and show you, that you can lose all of this. You can come back and your sister's not here, your mom's not here, your dad's not here. So many things can go by. And then what? Was it worth living for $30K a month?
Yeah.
So.
So two things again, I want to let you go, but I have to share a few things with you. So one, my halfway house experience. So in jail, I took a drug program called RDAT. The program gives you a year off your sentence. If you complete it, you get a year off. So I completed it successfully. The caveat to that is, if you mess up, even when you're home, they'll take the year back and you have to go serve the year. So now, fast forward to home, you're in a halfway house under that type of jurisdiction still. The federal halfway houses are set up in a way that the laws of the prison also were the same laws in the halfway house. So the same ticket write-up classifications, the severity of them. Assault on a CO was 100 series. Carrying a knife was 100 series shot. The severity level was 100 is the worst. Conversely, having a cellular phone was 100 series shot. In prison, it makes sense. to make it legal. But in the halfway house, it doesn't make sense. I got written up for a cell phone shot in the real world, and I sent back to jail to do the year for using a cell phone to call the prison and say, I'm running late to the halfway house. Wow. He says, why don't you come from a payphone? This is 2013. I said, where's the payphone, bro? Show me a payphone. I don't care, find one. Writes me the 100 shot, sends it to the prison. They come and get me and send me back to jail. I will serve a year for using a cell phone. I appealed it to the highest process of appellate in the prisons. Nothing. I got the response back when I was home. And the response basically said, should use a payphone.
Would
So that's the first part.
It's a money thing.
The second part of it I want to touch on is you spoke about other systems of incarceration around the world and the way they do it. I think the fundamental difference here is that we are in a capitalist society, and that even permeates prison. And I know that because private prisons exist. And so I know that because I was in one.
Yeah.
And those private prisons were outside of the BOP, which is called the Bureau of Prisons, the federal FBOP, Federal Bureau of Prisons. This one operated outside of that. So we had different rules. You could beat up COs in there. And once you got into the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they didn't follow you. It's just not connected. This is a private jail that someone is making money off of. So we have the incentivization of incarceration. And then we also have the fact that I don't think they're using prison as rehabilitation. I think that we have framed prison as punishment, as pure punishment. And not to say people don't deserve punishment, but I think we could punish and rehabilitate at the same
time. But we could also get rid of private prisons, right? And that's our systematic oppression that we talk about, because police officers were habitual slave catchers.
And outside of that, did you know that prisons could sue states if their occupancy is a certain low level?
Yeah, because there's a quota. So it's so when you break it, and it's the more you know, right? It's right. You don't know, then it's like, oh well, they're building a school to prison fact line, but it doesn't matter. But it's like, well, if your kid doesn't pass the standardized testing in the 3rd grade, that depicts how many they're going to build, or right, how many more beds they need to find. So at the end of the day, I think knowledge is power, but lived experience is always stronger, because a lot of my students could look at me like, well, you've never been to jail. So how you going to tell me stay out of trouble? Or, that's what I come in at. And that's where the lived experience comes. So I love talking to people like you that can show me or tell me your experience, but also walk the walk in how you change, how you put certain things down. But what it took for you to, to stop, because it was hard. Or you didn't just stop cold turkey.
Everything would die.
Right? So
what they did with that.
So, and we pray that that's not going to happen anytime soon. But at the end of the day, deterrence is the main factor before we even think about rehabilitation. Because if we could deter you from even going, we don't have to think about rehabilitation at all.
Agreed. I like to take the proactive approach. I think that we've taken the reactive approach far too long, and that we need to be more proactive and say, before we get to, reentry, how can we maybe stop them from going?
Exactly.
And so I work and do a nonprofit. We have the Nomel Foundation. We do book bag giveaways. And if you look to right behind you, you'll see 4 laptops down there.
So we're done.
Yeah. So we're starting a program for teaching of coding or whatever we could teach through these computers. We got a grant for that. But I want to catch them before, to try to impact them before. And they still might make the mistake.
Of course. And
life is life. But I want to try to impact maybe before they reach there.
I think it's all relatable. Like if they can relate to you and you show consistency, they see somebody that truly cares, they're going to come back no matter what. So like even right now, next month, we're going to have girls that we've had for a long time. We didn't get to all the programs that I do. But
Part 2.
Right, part 2. We crown girls. We have a program called She's Crowned. We talk about mental health and well-being, finances and investments.
Just stop. Just say that for you, please. You'll be here for the hour.
I know.
Yeah, say.
So yeah, we'll go. But at the end of the day, we crown, and we do it for boys too. We crown them as kings and queens to know where they come from, right? But not only where they come from, where are you going? And we teach them certain things that they wouldn't otherwise learn in school. So it's important for us, like what you're saying, to expose them to that, because typically our exposure is basketball, is football, is sports driven. So what happens when they don't make it pro? What do they have to look forward to? So we expose them to other things, especially financial literacy. I cannot harp on it enough. that exposes them to a different kind of thing. So when we're at the dinner table talking about who didn't do the mac and cheese right, there's another dinner table talking about what next trip they're going to take and what they're going to write off and how they're going to do certain things. And I'm trying to be flip.
And that's why I do this podcast too, though, because a lot of this information, again, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm like, let's just put it out there for the people to see, to know that Chaquanzha is doing this program and these services are available. And I had a Martine talked about sports psychology consultant and the challenges of being an athlete, a student athlete, and just different things and resources to just give us education and exposure to information that we're not always privy to. I am privileged and blessed enough to get into a lot of rooms that everyone are not privileged to get into. So what I like to liken myself to is always Robin Hood. I say, I'll go in here like a little Trojan horse and I'll come and just look really peaceful and I'm just soaking up the room and absorbing the room. And then I come back to my people and say, yo, this what's going on. Do y'all know this? Do y'all know that their estate planning 200 years in advance? Do y'all know this? You're living for the weekend. They're living 20 years ahead of us. Do y'all know this? And so I just try to wake us up in that way. But it's dope. And again, this is going to be I'm going to keep it. I want to keep in touch with you. And if there's anything I could do, like I said, to facilitate and help, I'm more than.
We got something coming up.
Yeah.
So I guess before I go, we're a youth advocacy empowerment organization. So we travel internationally and domestically. And we just empower youth all over. But I think the biggest thing is lived experience. So we're always looking for mentors that can come in and talk to our students about financial literacy, mental health and well-being, about the prison system and how to, overcome certain obstacles. Because a lot of times it's like, I've got this on my background. I can't get the job, right? So how to create opportunities for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's more so just that passionate commitment to give back because we can't move forward without giving back. At least I believe so. So thank you for giving me the
Of course. So what is next for Doping Global, like Chaquanzha, and what's next? What should we look for?
Oh, man. So we've got a few programs running. We're going to be up in Bridgeport at the Wakeland Boys and Girls Club running our She's Crown program. We've got an outreach event happening at Tropical Island Spice, which is a Black-owned Jamaican women-owned restaurant in South Norwalk. So we're going to get our girls together from 9 years ago, almost at 10 years of doing this work. And we've got over 20 students registered to come back and share where they are now. And that's big in terms of impact because a lot of kids, like, I did this mentorship program 9 years ago. Like, why do I need to come back? We're going to do our Breaking Chains program, which is now nationwide. So students all over will be able to make money to break down that 1994 crime bill. Hear from people like you. Hopefully you hop on. But we have an intern out of the Texas State University who's helping us spearhead that program. And then a lot of other things. We're taking kids to Ghana in July. So we got a lot
Everything
going on. But yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I know your mom's proud of you.
I hope she is.
She is. And keep doing your work. And again, if anywhere I can get in there and assist, just let me know.
We'll definitely be in contact.
For sure. Well, thank you, Chaquanzha.
Thank you so much.